So Erik Carlsson, explain this to me. Explain I guess the twin stories. Erik Carlsson, it looks as if things are moving towards a resolution of his status. We certainly got that impression from Ren Lavoie that there were teams, it's August 23rd. We're going to start seeing some stuff pick up now as we get close to training camp. The Canucks, sort of rumored to be one of the Western Conference teams involved. I think the Canucks moved pretty quickly to put the kibosh in that. My first reaction was, if it's Erik Carlsson, man, why wouldn't you be interested in him?
Oh, well, no question, right? I mean, there's a guy that can change your whole franchise just by getting him. But this goes back, I think, to the Linden thing. And I think with the Aquilinis, he's got money to spend. Francesco Aquilini's got money to spend, and it's burning a hole in his pocket, right? So Trevor wanted to be a lot more conservative, go with a rebuild. And Aquilini was like, well, why are we not going after these guys? Why are we not going after Tavares? Why are we not going after Carlsson? And I think this goes back to where possibly with what Trevor was trying to do was he was just being a lot more conservative, and Aquilini's got money to spend. So now you see the Trevor's out of the way. I think you're going to see the Canucks go after Carlsson. I think you're going to see them, try and spend, that money that the Sedins, that they took up. They took up $14 million last year. So the Canucks really have, $14 million to spend. I think that's the way they're looking at it. I think that's the way Aquilini's looking at it. And are they true contenders to get Carlsson? I don't know. That's going to be that would be up to Carlsson if he wanted to come to Vancouver in the middle of, a young team like that.
Corey, it almost seemed to me from a distance as if it was almost a signal from the Aquilinis that we're open for business. That by getting it out there, just a sign to the rest of the league, to other agents, even to the fan base. If I'm a Vancouver Canucks fan, I understand the economics, yada yada. You kidding me, Erik Carlsson? I'm all over that. So in a lot of ways, I can see why they would want that. That sort of to raise the flag and say, hey, look, everybody, the Vancouver Canucks are open for business now that Trevor Linden isn't here.
I think you're exactly right. I think that, Francesco's a guy, he's got a bit of an edge to him, right? I mean, he's an active owner. He's very involved in the Canucks. And then the last couple of years, I saw him get a little bit more involved at the end of the year this year, on Twitter and things like that. So I think you're exactly right. I think whether or not he thinks he can land Carlsson isn't really the issue. I think he's trying to show the fan base and Vancouver, hey, you know what? We're not just going to sit here and let this happen and just kind of hope everything falls into place. We're going to be active, and we're going to do things. Now, the only thing that concerns me about that is that remember when the Leafs had the rebuild, and then they had to have another rebuild, right? Because you go out and you sign some veteran players that don't pan out. That's the only thing that scares me in Vancouver. And we've seen teams have to build through, the draft now. It's so much different with the salary cap. But I mean, the cap. What is the cap this year? Almost $80 million.
Yeah.
Right. So there's money. There's money to spend. It's going to be interesting to see how the Canucks. I mean, I had heard that they wanted to go after Tavares, and it was Trevor kind of saying, you know what, let's just be a little bit more conservative here, and they ended up not making a pitch to Tavares. So, I think the Aquilinis want to be aggressive. They really want to be able to get something done and land a player like Carlsson.
Has the furor over the Trevor Linden departure, I guess we can call it a departure, has that subsided still in Vancouver? Has it subsided in Vancouver, or is there still a sense out there that, Corey, that, the full story hasn't been told? And I'll ask you this, does the full story need to be told?
Yeah, you know what? I don't think so, right? Trevor was a great player. He's a legend there. He's a good guy. He's a good human being. He did some great things for the organization when they were in peril a few years ago, and Vancouver the city was basically burning down over the Canucks. He stepped in and kind of calmed everything down, right? So I think maybe they're looking at it as this time is just he did what he had to do, and maybe Trevor looks at it that way as well. And now they're going in the direction that they're going. So I haven't seen anything or heard anything lately with the Trevor thing. I think it all kind of came out as it was, is that, he and the Aquilinis didn't see eye to eye on how things were going to progress with the Canucks. Trevor wanted to be a little bit more conservative, and Aquilini wanted to be a lot more aggressive. So the question for me is where did Benning and Weisbrod fit into all this? That's kind of the question that everybody's asking. I don't see, I know Jim. I think Jim's a pretty good guy. And he might just be siding with the Aquilinis in the term that he wants to speed up the rebuild as well a little bit quicker.